How's it going, everyone? It is me, the Lone Vault Wanderer, and welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. So as we know in Fallout 76, the Greenbrier Hotel is going to be making an appearance. On the surface, the Greenbrier is a high-class luxury hotel and resort, but on the 31st of May 1992, the Washington Post published an article about the Greenbrier Hotel, which exposed a huge secret. Underneath the hotel, the US government was building a bomb shelter designed to protect US members of Congress in the event of a nuclear war. Capable of protecting about 1,100 inhabitants, the bunker was built in direct response to the perceived nuclear threat posed by the Soviets or the USSR. And the bunker contained equipment and facilities that were enough to accommodate its inhabitants for months, if not years. But the landmark Washington Post article, which is actually linked in the description below, revealed many more secrets about the Greenbrier Hotel bunker and especially its construction. And in this video specifically, we'll be talking about the links that the Greenbrier Hotel actually has to the Soviet Union or the USSR. And then we'll go on to discuss whether these Soviet links could be mentioned or referenced in Fallout 76 or could even form a big part of the main story. But first, let's discuss the Soviet Union links. When the US government organized the construction of the Greenbrier, it did so at an incredibly expedited and rushed speed. The plant manager of Superior Supply, which was the company responsible for delivering the concrete that was to be poured into the excavation site, was continuously told by his manager to hurry up. The company even filled its trucks with illegal levels of concrete to get the job done faster, which actually meant they had to pay fines for exceeding the permissible weight limit on the trucks. The speed at which the concrete had to be provided even forced the company to purchase 2 additional concrete mixers, and even this wasn't enough. These facts clearly reveal how paranoid and worried the US government was about the onset of nuclear war in the country. Specifically, the US was concerned that the USSR or the Soviet Union would bring about a nuclear catastrophe of some sort. So the Greenbrier bunker was part of a missing contingency plan for protecting members of Congress to ensure that the country could operate in a post-war world. So with all these factors considered, it actually makes the government's decision to choose the Greenbrier Hotel as the location of the congressional bunker as very peculiar. Yes, the US government did share a close relationship with the Greenbrier and the company which built it, the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway Company, and this relationship persisted for many years. But the board chairman of C&O at the time was a man named Cyrus Eaton. Eaton became a director of C&O in 1943 and then a board chairman in 1954, after which he led the company for many years into great success. And the reason why this is peculiar is because, as the article states, Eaton actually had direct links to the Soviet Union. He was known as the Kremlin's favorite capitalist, and he even received the Lenin Peace Prize. Moreover, at one point, Eaton even organized a meeting between Soviet and US atomic scientists in a vain attempt to convince the scientists to warn their governments and leaders about the dangers of a nuclear arms race. So this begs the question, did the US government know of the Soviet ties that Eaton held when they approached the company to have this very important congressional bunker built under the hotel? Especially given the sensitivities and secrecy of the bunker up until that point, and how it was being built directly to combat the Soviet nuclear threat. Surely this would have been a major red flag for the government. And if the government did know this, why did they continue to build the bunker under the Greenbrier in any event? And then more so, when it comes to the story of Fallout 76, could these Soviet links be mentioned or referenced in the story in any way? We know how serious Bethesda is taking the pre-established lore and folklore of West Virginia, and of course the reason why the Greenbrier is included in the game in the first place is because it had a bunker underneath that was meant to protect Congress. So it's not just going to be there for any old reason, it's being placed there because Bethesda is placing some sort of an importance on the pre-established history of West Virginia and how the US government looked to the Greenbrier Hotel to build this so far secret underground bunker. And we all know as well how so far to date, the USSR or the Soviet Union isn't really mentioned that much in the lore of Fallout. Predominantly, especially with the resource wars and the Great War, it was more so the US and China that were given the limelight. Yes, we had mentions to the Middle East, yes, we had mentions to European countries, and of course there were mentions and references to the USSR. After all, we know that the Soviet Union never actually disbanded like they did in our world, so that lore is certainly there in the series of Fallout. But beyond that, the Soviet Union kind of takes a back seat to both the US and to China. So what I would really like is for more lore in history to be told about the USSR and how exactly they participated in the Great War, and whether this whole perceived threat that was allegedly posed by the USSR, the Soviet Union, was actually legitimate. Did the USSR actually want to get involved in a nuclear war with the US? Even though there was some conflicts between the US and the USSR, I don't believe they were ever seen as enemies. So I would really like this to be explored further, and I think it would allow us to do this if Fallout 76 goes really into depth about the background of the Greenbrier, the person that was chairing the company at the time that the Greenbrier was being built. It doesn't have to be Cyrus Eden. It could be, a random fictional character, but they could have those parallels in the story being brought in. And then maybe this meeting between the US and Soviet scientists could be fleshed out a little bit more. We could get some really interesting backstory that to date we've never really had. So what do you guys think? Do you think the USSR is going to be mentioned in Fallout 76's story? Do you reckon we're going to go in depth in terms of the background of the Greenbrier Hotel and these very real Soviet links that actually existed? Will this allow the Soviet Union to be brought into the lore of Fallout more so than what it is now? Because again, it's kind of light on at the moment, and I would like to see much more. So anyways, Wastelanders, that's all from me. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.